Okay, I think I'm live. Good rising. Welcome to the Indigo Room. Today we are discussing, I don't want to go back to normal, reimagining your new normal, and growing during the pandemic. So, welcome to the Indigo Room. This is where we discuss all things spiritual. And by that, I mean that we are non physical spiritual beings having physical human experiences. Life is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be delicious. It's supposed to be fabulous, even when it's wicky wacky. Yeah, it's been wicky wacky, wouldn't you say? I would say it's been wicky wacky. So, welcome to the Indigo Room. Hi, Amira. Hi, good rising, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're calling in from or you're visiting us today. So we are going to, I'm just going to light the sage because I didn't do that in time for the show. So I'm trying to do that now. And while I'm doing that, I just want you to think about for a minute how you are going to reimagine your new normal. Here's some sage for you. I didn't like the Palo Santo wood because, time. So I'm going to light myself, sage myself. I'm in a new space today. Whew, here you go. Here's some for you guys. I know y'all need it. I know I need it. I need it every week. I need it every day. It feels so good to just do that. Hi, Barb. Good rising. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you all today here on Indigo Room. And so I don't know why that's doing that. It's a little wicky wacky with the internet. The internet's a little wicky wacky today. Linda's here with us. She's looking fabulous. She's going to join us in a little bit, but we're going to tickle our amygdala, and we're going to read a little bit from the sacred for Sacred Flame, and from the I Am Decrees. We're going to do that. So let's get started right now. Let's do that. Nice sage. Courtesy of Linda. Thank you, Linda. It was a wonderful gift that she sent. For those of you that celebrate Mother's Day, I want to say happy belated Mother's Day to you all. I'm a mama. I'm a praying mama, and I'm a mama. And we didn't do the show last week just because everybody was probably out celebrating Mother's Day or celebrating it however you were celebrating it. So I want to just say happy Mother's Day to you all. I also want to thank Nancy K. Gray and Debbie Morello for their wonderful gifts that they donated to me so that I could take a Lyft or an Uber to work. So many of you saw my live video where I ugly cried. And it was and you saw my video, of me riding the bus. And you decided that, it would be nice to help a sister out so that she doesn't have to ride the bus to work every day. And I'm overwhelmed. That was not my intention, to ask you all to send me money, but thank you, because it has been very helpful. Can I just say it has been enormously helpful. It means so much to me to not have to ride the bus every day. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I drive, I have my license, I just don't have a car. So I have to work on that. That's been put into my imagination too. So hopefully that'll happen soon. Not hopefully. I'm imagining that it will happen soon. Gotta get that word hopefully out of my vocabulary. Hey, Sharon, it's good to see you. Yay. I also want to thank you all who joined us for our Dine Together, the Indigo Room Dine Together. It has been so cool to see your faces and to share a meal with you, even though some of you don't eat. You just watch me eat. I'm only kidding. But hopefully we're going to do it again on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you would like to join us in our Dine Together, this is the Indigo Room way of keeping connected. Sharon was there, Barb was there, Linda, Amira, Susanna. We had a wonderful visit from Amaya this week and last week, and we're going to be bringing her back on the show so she can do some readings for you guys, hopefully soon. And see, I said hopefully again. And we're also going to be bringing Arzu back, and she's going to talk about planting and what types of things you can plant in your area. She's in Belize. And let me just say this. Belize had 18 confirmed cases of COVID, 2 deaths, and 16 have recovered so far. Just saying. So when people say that you can't, if you're Black, you're going to die from this, or it's coming after Black people specifically. Belize has a very dark melanated population, okay? And they are doing pretty good how they are managing their pandemic. So that's what it is right now. And I want it to stay that way. So that's where our zoo is. So she's going to be talking to us about how they're doing it and how they're managing, the virus in her area. So yeah, we had a great time. We did. So let's tickle our amygdala right now. I want you to close your eyes. Imagine that you have a feather in your hand. Imagine your feather is, what color your feather is. Is it short? Is it tall? Is it long? Is it short? Is it bristly? Just feel it. Feel it and get a good feeling of an imagination and a good imagination feeling of what your feather feels like. Make it real to you. What color is it? What does it feel like? What does it look like in your mind's eye? And once you get that all settled in, I want you to raise your feather up to the center of your forehead and slide it in. And then slide it over to the right and tickle your amygdala on the right. And then slide it over to the left and tickle your amygdala on the left, and then pull it out. That's it. Done. Again, that's a brain hack. It's very helpful for when you're having those wicky-wacky moments. When you're getting stressed out, it lights up your frontal lobe, and your amygdala is on either side of your temple. One on one side, one on the other side. And so when your amygdala is clicked closed, you're in fright or flight mode. And when it's clicked open, that's when your frontal lobe lights up, and that's when all of the creative juices start to flow for you. So use that often. I need to use it more often, okay? Just want to share with you, before we read from the Violet Flame decree, that you should always trust and follow your intuition. And I say that because this week I did not go to work. I stayed home. And no matter what anybody tells you, no matter what anybody shares with you, and they say to you, oh, you're being silly, or you're not, there's no reason. I just posted something on my Facebook this morning, and I'm going to read it to you because I think it's really important. And I followed my intuition this week and stayed home from work. I stayed home from work all week. I didn't go in. And what it says is, I no longer need hardcore proof to validate what my intuition tells me. If something feels off about a person, place, or thing, it's because something is off. I'm not sticking around to discover what it is. My time and my energy are way too valuable. So if you get a feeling to do something, go somewhere, or not go somewhere, or not do something, and you get this little, you hear the still small voice in the back of your head saying, don't do that, Sydney. Don't do that, Sharon, Amira, Barb. Don't do that, Linda. You got to follow it. Trust it. I was questioning myself because on Saturday I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going in. I'm going in. And I woke up and I got dressed and I got ready for work. put my clothes on. I was just telling Linda this story. Put my clothes on, got dressed, and I made my lunch, walked Cleopatra, did all the things that I would normally do. And that small voice kept going, Sydney, stay home. Sydney, stay home. And I said, no, I gotta go to work. I need money for next week. Because if you don't go to work, you don't get paid at my job. Like there's no real time. You don't really have time that they don't give you time that you can take and get paid. And I had used my little bit of time I had for the Wednesday when I took off Wednesday. I used the VTO, and that allowed me to stay home all week because they were offering that. I don't see something was up because they kept offering VTO. Usually we have overtime, but this week we did. So I didn't. I said, all right. I said, spirit. Should I go? Should I stay home? And that little still small voice in the back of my mind said, back of my head said, you should stay home. And it was quiet. It wasn't loud. It wasn't like, something that like a big stop sign and said, stay home. It wasn't that. It was just stay home. Stay home. So finally I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to stay home. And I was, putting in my unpaid time off on my app and letting them know why I was staying home, because I was feeling a little anxious about coming in, with all the cases that we have right now. And they're still not telling us how many cases, but I'm got to tell you, several every 2 weeks, every 2 days, turns out to be a lot after a while. And just as I was getting ready to hit submit, I got another text from them, from my company saying, oh, we have more confirmed cases, blah, 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 blah. Several. They never tell us how many. So I don't know what popped off this weekend. I have no idea. I just know that I'm here now talking to y'all. So whatever happens, I wasn't supposed to be there. I may not ever find out what it was. I don't know. But trust your intuition when you get a feeling. And it's usually not really even a major feeling of like, it's never big. It's always something very small, very quiet, and you got to trust it. So we're going to read a little bit. We're going to bring Linda out. This is my new set. I'm here with my plants in the living room. And by the way, all of my plants that I planted have started to pop. I'll bring some of them over in a bit, but actually, no, I'm not going to do that right now because we got a lot of stuff to go over. And but I have strawberries growing, I got cucumbers growing, I have melon growing, lettuce, arugula, oregano, aloe, ginger, tomatoes, peppers, what else? Chives, and yeah, so it's been fun creating my garden in my apartment. Quite amazing. I think I'm going to have a jungle here soon. Hi, Linda. Oh, she's on mute.
Hi.
There you go. Hi, Linda. Hi.
I had to move.
Oh.
I couldn't moderate on my Amazon tablet, so it doesn't show the chat. So I had to switch back to my laptop.
Oh, it was such a beautiful day out there.
Yep. Well, maybe next week I'll move my laptop out there for the show.
Okay. Linda was sitting, she has such beautiful green off of her, is that your patio, your porch,
yeah,
your deck?
Back deck.
It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I wish you were sitting there right now because you'd be mesmerized. But so today we're going to just I just love that one decree, and since we're still dealing with what we're dealing with, I'm just going to read that again. And it is the number 16. It's on page 53, and I just feel like it's very powerful, and we should continue to. Let me pull myself this way. we should continue to recite it for a little while, and we'll move on to something else. But I feel like this week we should recite it again. So I'm going to read it out loud for you guys. If you have the book, which is that, you can read along with me. If you don't, just listen and let it fill you up in your spirit. And then you can come back later and listen to it again. In the name, love, wisdom, power, authority, and victory of our own beloved mighty I am presence, higher mental bodies, and those of all mankind, all activities of the sacred fire, and the most boundless love in the universe, I demand, I command, I insist, and I am that I am presence which compels and forever maintains that oceans of the violet consuming flame of 1,000 suns be charged through the minds, bodies, beings, worlds, and atmosphere of the children of light until all are ascended and free. Mighty I am, mighty, almighty I am, almighty I am, almighty I am. Through the eyes and ears, hands and feet, through the brain, heart, stomach, and nerves, through the mental and feeling world and bloodstream, through the homes, food, and business activities, through all under this radiation, through all the younger generation, through the three Americas, their people and their resources, through the government of the United States of America and all its positions of trust, authority, influence throughout our land, and through all the countries in the world. It doesn't say that, but I added that in. That's it. I love that one. I think it's very powerful. I think it's really poignant for the time that we're living in right now. And hi, Jackie. Hello, hello, hello. Did I miss anybody? I just want to see if I missed anybody. Sharon, you know what? That's exactly what I told Linda today. It's the same feeling I had during 9/11. Exactly. You're right. You're exactly right. I just had that conversation with Linda before we came in. And it I decided on 9/11 that I was going to go in. And, then it didn't, that wasn't a good idea because that was the day that I decided to go in was when 9/11 happened. So you have to trust your intuition. You have to trust what the still small voice says to you. And again, it's not loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't yell, and it doesn't fight with you. It doesn't demand you. It just tells you, you know what? It's not a good day for you to do that. Or don't go here, or don't go there. Or sit down, don't move. Or move, run. It's very quiet. And if you haven't been quiet, if you haven't been paying attention to your inner guidance, you might miss it. You might not hear it. And then later on, you lament and you say, oh my God, why didn't God help me? Why didn't? A lot of times, a lot of times, a lot of times, God gave you a message, Spirit gave you a message, and you didn't hear it, or you chose to ignore it. One of two things. But it's always guiding us, it's always helping us, it's always leading us. Linda, have you had that experience? I know you have.
Yes. Yeah. I've had a lot of experiences with you need to leave, or don't sit over there, or go to another room. Don't sit next to this person on the bus.
Yeah.
And I've done it, and what's interesting is, by and large, when it is more people I know in my life or I've met in my life, um, and I've gotten a weird feeling from them, at some point I I end up finding out about them through some other source of what was going on. Um, Sometimes it takes 25 years, but
I always find out eventually.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We always find out eventually. So today we want to talk about, first of all, number one, the title of the show is I Don't Want to Go Back to Normal. Does anybody here, because I'm sure there's plenty of you here that want to go back to normal? I know I don't. How about you, Linda?
Nope.
Anybody want to go back to normal? Barb, Jackie, Amira, Sharon. Who else is in here? Where's the light seeker at? You know what I forgot to do, and I have to remind myself to do that today, Linda, is to go find her page on Facebook. Did you find it?
Who, Light Seeker?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the lady that's in Africa?
Yes.
Yeah, I have her. I have her link in Facebook. I have her as a friend. Yeah.
Okay. Can you share that with me, or
Sure.
if you have
Sure.
it, put it in the chat so I can
Yeah.
click
I'll
it
put
in
it in.
and,
I'll put
and
it in
do
the
that.
chat.
Jackie said no, she doesn't want to go back to normal. Sharon said no, she doesn't want to go back to normal. Barb said no. And Amira said yes, it's a very small voice I hear. Yes, it is a very small voice. No, I'm learning to go with the flow. Okay, so my reasoning for not wanting to go back to normal, number one, is I'm finding that normal, I'm still in normal, I think, kind of, because I'm still going out to work every day and I'm still hustling and bustling. However, it's a weird kind of thing that's happening with that. And I know Sharon's still going out to work, Wanda's still going out every day. And Mira, I believe, is still going out every day. So there's just this weird kind of energy, as everybody wants to open back up. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people that want to open back up and just get back to normal. And I'm not even talking about the pandemic. I mean, the virus, and the spread of the virus, at this point. But what I'm finding is the normal that we had was not sustainable, right? Because if it was, then this pandemic that we're all in around the planet would, especially here in the United States. I'm just talking about being in the United States. I don't know about everybody else and where they're at right now, what country they're living in, and what's happening in your space. But what the pandemic has done in the United States is shaken the very foundation of um, our normal. And our normal, the light that's being shined on what was normal, you know, is really not a good look. And it doesn't really feel good. So what I'm finding is the normal was, we hustle and bustle, we run to shop, and everybody's going to the stores, and they, not thinking, we weren't collectively thinking about each other in a way that was encompassing us all and looking out for each other in a way that nobody would fall through the cracks. And so many things have been brought to light because of us um, experiencing the pandemic. Like global warming, just or what has been happening to the planet. The planet is refreshing herself, and animals that we've never seen before are showing back up. I know I've seen big turtles coming out and this blue bumblebee. I didn't know there was such a thing. I had no idea. Apparently, there's a bumblebee that is blue that has shown back up in Florida, and just nature itself is regenerating, and that is because we. If you ever watched The Matrix, which is one of my favorite movies, I've seen that movie a billion times. And one of the things that Mr. Smith, is that his name? Yeah. All of a sudden, I forgot his name. Mr. Smith says to Morpheus when he grabs him and he has him held hostage, is he's talking about us, humans, because Mr. Smith is a computer program, and he says that we're a virus, we are a virus, and we infect everything. So now with so many people having to self isolate and not be out and about all day long, just running and driving every place. And, we had to figure out new ways to do different things. The earth got a break. Not only did the earth get a break, but the species that inhabit the planet with us also got a break. And we are seeing how much smog there is. You can see clearly now. I know I can see clearly across to Manhattan from my apartment building every day. Before I couldn't do that. So there's a lot of different things that have happened and has transpired. The stench. That's right, Jackie. That's what he called. He said the stench of humans. And we're like a virus. And I'm reminded of that every day when I look around and I see how green everything is now and how beautiful the planet really is, and how what we were doing to it was not a good thing. We were just running amok and not really paying attention. What do you see, Linda? Do you see any shifts, any changes?
Yeah, I drive by a whole bunch of beaches just going into town to get my mail, and it's very interesting. The You actually see the beach without footmarks and people walking around, and the birds that are usually high on the rocks are now down on the beach itself in groups enjoying it. And you actually see um, more of the stuff that comes out of the ocean, seaweed and stuff on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a lot quieter. I can hear the birds now.
Mm.
And um, you really don't hear I don't really hear any traffic from the highway. Um, uh, and the streets, it is a small town, but the streets seem cleaner.
Yeah.
Um, and that's pretty much it. I haven't gone into quote the big city, but
Right.
I will be this week because we're allowed to.
Well, no matter what is happening in your area with the virus and the opening up um, of every city, every state now, even New York is doing a slow phased opening. Um, it just going back to normal is what got us into this in the first place. That normal is what got us into this in the first place, I feel. So going back to that and reopening up and going back to that It's not something that I'm really looking forward to be truthful. All right. I'm really not. Um, it it glared a light on a lot of things that are not necessarily good with how we are handling each other and how we handle the planet and how our economy is. And there's a song that I was listening to today and this week, and it's "Love is the New Currency," is what the woman was singing in her song. And I love that. That just vibe with me because love can be our new currency. It should be our currency, period. And what this pandemic has shown for me is to have more love and more compassion and more empathy, even for people that I don't like. Even for people that I don't like. I mean, I don't want to see anybody die, you know? Um, I really don't. And death is, uh, you know, subjective. I know for me, when I had my crossing over period, it was like going to sleep and waking up and you're in a new space. However, I'm not ready to go yet. So I'm not, I'm not ready to leave again right now. And not because of no daggone virus. I don't want to go through the whole suffering that you have to do in between leaving and waking up in another dimension or another space. That's I don't want to have to go through all of that. So that is why I wear my mask, and that is why uh, I keep myself healthy and wear my mask for others because I don't want somebody to have to go through that. That whole COVID thing is really is bad bongos when you're on a ventilator and you just going through all of that craziness and that sickness. Who wants to go through that? I don't know. So go ahead, Linda.
Um, on the more spiritual side, I believe, um, we also have to take into account that when we come to this planet, we pretty much have a checkout time or a couple of choices where we want to check out and leave the planet. And so I believe that there are a lot of people who came to this planet to get us to this point, this vibrational frequency or ascension level or whatever you want to call it. And their job is done. And they don't have to be here anymore and they can check out. And so, as bad as it seems, and I don't want to go through that kind of stuff myself, nor do I want to see other people go through that, the virus symptoms. You also have to understand that that is their choice in a lot of ways. And for whatever reasons they got it or are dying from it and cross over, that's their choice on a spiritual level. So there's balance. So yes, it's bad that so many people are dying or getting it, but on the other hand, they've chosen certain things, and that's the outcome for those people as well. So we do what we can. We send them love and healing energy to the situation, whatever the situation is. And and if you're, an essential worker and you're taking care of them, I'm sending you healing energy as well so that you can continue to do what you do. But,
Okay.
yeah, we have to balance that. We can't
Mhm.
just all be 3D or 4D. We've got to also look at the bigger picture of stuff that is not in our control. We do what we can, however we do it. And the people that choose to leave with COVID, that's their thing.
Oh, okay. I that's not my belief, but I
Hmm.
accept it. I accept yours. Um, when I crossed over, I was given a choice at that time,
Hmm.
me personally, if I wanted to leave or stay. So I don't know what everybody else's choices and what they are choosing to experience and what they're not. However, I do feel that I don't want to go through COVID, period. So when I leave, I don't want to have to go through whatever I have to go through in order
Sure.
to do that transition. Um, that's just me. So everybody has their own idea or feeling or knowledge about that. And um, mine is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that, and thank you for sharing that, Linda, because there may be people that feel the same way as you do.
Hmm.
And that's important. Um, I do want to also say that um, there are a lot of things that we could be doing and to recreate our new normal. Because here on this plane, we are experiencing physicality and a new normal in how we're going to be doing things and how we're going to be interacting with each other and creating and imagining our new reality. So one of the things that, we we wanted to do in the Indigo Room was travel together. And we can't do that right now. So one of the things that we've started to do is create Dine Together. It's a virtual way for us to be able to connect with each other once a week. And I've been in my own imagination looking at my own vision board and choosing to reimagine some of the things that I have on my vision board. Now, I still want to get a new car. That's still on there. But there are other things that I want to express and other things now that are more important to me. Whereas before, I wasn't really focused on having a garden, right? It was just kind of, I'll grow some stuff here. I'll go hang out in my neighbor's yard and we'll, I'll plant every once in a while. I'll go over. It wasn't something that I was truly focused on. Let me just be clear. I enjoyed putting my hands in the dirt and in the garden and working out in the garden, but it wasn't something that I was really focused on, and it wasn't something that I was bringing into fruition every day. So now, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, I have reimagined how I want to, be planting and what I want to be doing and how I want to be spending my time. So those are some of the things. That's one thing that is now added to my vision board, which wasn't there before. And it's a really cool way for me to be able to visit with my neighbors because I have another neighbor. His name is Christopher. That's the one I told you about a couple months ago when he gives me the cucumbers and all that stuff. I don't know if y'all remember him, but yesterday, coming back from the store, I see him outside and he's got like his whole yard is a garden. He's got flowers, he's got food, fig trees, and all that. And I admired his garden when I, used to walk past him, and I thought it was beautiful and was a lot of hard work. Who's got time for that? Well, now some of us have time for that, you know. So some of the things that and maybe there was a book inside of you that you just didn't have time to write. Maybe there was, because Linda does a lot of creating stuff anyway. Linda is a really huge creative being. So maybe, you know, that's something that she wants to expand on. Linda and I are getting ready. I'm going to have more time, Linda, to work on our project that we're working on together. So that's something else that's now put on the front burner for me, with that Linda and I are working on a project. Um, because before, you know, my time was just get to work, get to work, get to work, gotta pay bills, gotta pay bills, gotta pay bills. Blah, 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 blah. So now that you have this time and now that you're on this pause, some of you have your states have opened and you've reopened, but when they reopen, they haven't opened up fully. While you still have this time, while you're still home, while you're still in your quiet time, what can you do differently than you did before? It's really important and really powerful, because if we just go back to what was normal and how we moved and how we flowed through the world, then we didn't really learn the lesson, did we? We didn't really get the lesson that we have the ability to shift and change and shift and change and change our reality for real, for real. Um, yes, we have a pandemic. Yes, we are in the middle of a pandemic. However, that doesn't mean that you can't still be, do, and have the things that you want to be, do, and have. So I'm going to open up the floor a little bit. Linda, what are some things that um, have you been thinking about anything new? How you can recreate your new normal? Reimagine?
Um, well, the gardening is part of it. I've been doing more creative stuff I'm sort of stretching into creative stuff that I'm not used to doing. And um, so I'm enjoying that. And I'm, I feel like it's time to get my house to the point where I can have people over, which is something I haven't done in a long time. And so I have the energy to do that. And it's not like I'm forcing myself to do it. It's like it's flowing that way.
Mm, mm, mm.
Rather than, okay, I have to open a box every day and go through it to get rid of it. It's more like, oh, I might do 6 or 7 boxes, and then, a day or two will go by, and it's like, oh, uh, and then I'll do another couple of boxes, and it's like, where am I going to put the stuff? And then that's usually when there's a pause, a day or two, and then all of a sudden the light bulb goes up. Oh, well, I'll put it here. Um,
But it's
and
flowing. It's not.
yeah, exactly. I'm starting to get the creativity starting to flow. It's like, oh, I can put it here. Um, I have my bedroom set up a certain way, and I'm not real happy with it, but I couldn't think of any other way to put it. And then the light bulb just went off, and it's like, oh, that's where you need to put the bed, you know? And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, that makes a lot more, in my head, that makes a lot more sense. Then I don't have to worry about hitting my head on a shelf. And, you know, and I knew I didn't quite like it where it was, but my brain was just not um, giving me solutions.
Mm.
So the time wasn't right. So
I do feel like lately my brain, because during this whole time, I am not kidding you. Even before the pandemic, my brain, I felt like I was in a fog sometimes, a lot of times, like I was fighting to get through the fog, like you're
mm,
saying, like just fighting. Okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. Even though I'm writing my list down and, doing my list, doing my daily list, I found that during the start of the pandemic, I was focused on what was going on with that. I wasn't even focused on my lists anymore. So I've gotten back to that. But I feel like my brain, or like the fog that was in my head, is a lot clearer,
yeah.
and it's easier for me to even get into my imagination than it was before.
hmm Yeah. I felt like it was like, okay, I do want to do something about it, but then when I think about it, there's nothing there. It's like, well, I could do this, I could do that. No, I don't want to do that. And it's just nothing feels right or sounds good, or I can't imagine how it will look, that kind of thing. And then it's like, well, you could do a floor plan and make your little miniature furniture and move this stuff around. And it's like, oh, yuck. That's just a waste of time for me. And it's like, I don't want to do that. You're sort of going through, okay, well, how can I motivate myself and how can I sort of kickstart things? Um, and nothing was doing it. So I just ignored it and went off down this creativity thing. And now that I've been more creative, um, I'm starting to get some solutions to things, and not just a solution, but you could do this. Oh, yeah, I could say, or you could do this.
Right,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
You look beautiful, by the way. Just let me say.
Thank you.
Um, I just want to read what's going on in the chat. And Barb said she's creating my new normal. How are you creating your new normal, Barb? Do share with the class. Uh, and Sharon said, well, Sharon's on the front line, so she's afraid of the second wave, she said. And I can understand how you would feel that way. I certainly absolutely can understand how you would feel that way. Especially because we have so many states opening right up. Some of them are not even doing a phased opening, they're opening up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Full on, everything open. So I can understand how as a healthcare worker how you would be concerned about that. Um Jackie says at night here is so quiet with no traffic. The sky is so beautiful without the planes. Me too, Sharon. Okay. I can understand that too. I can understand how we all might be concerned about the second wave. That has been a concern of mine. And so in the middle of that, that's why I'm doing my garden and doing my planting. I'm not afraid. I'm just preparing for that, because if we do happen to have a second wave, which looks like that's where we're heading, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get sick. Some will get sicker than others, some will recover. However, those people that are sick, they won't be working out in the fields, harvesting the food. Who's going to replace them? So we already in the United States have sent so many, have deported so many of those people that were working in those fields. So, that's why I'm enjoying my garden. I'm having fun doing it, but I know the reason why I'm doing it. Barb said Wisconsin Supreme Court 4-3 declared our governor's safe at home illegal. Bars opened immediately and people flocked to them. I did see that, Barb. I am sorry that's happening in your state. Um, the second wave will cripple our healthcare system. But we can decide today to put more energy towards um, more light and shedding more light and more love and less fear. Um, Not so much that the fear is an indicator, like I said before, fear is an indicator, it's a message to let us know that something needs to be fixed. And I believe that our healthcare system needs to be fixed. However, at this particular moment in time, we have governments in place that is not their concern. So your government, wherever you may be, is not really going to be the one that saves you or helps you. You have to do that yourself, you know, and we can collectively send light to our healthcare system, send light to our governments, send light and energy to the White House, because if they fail, right, and continue on the trajectory that they're heading, it's going to trickle down to the rest of us here. So you want to be able to, send that energy out in a good way to those that need it the most. I think it's the White House, but you may have other ideas. That's my feeling. Um,
I'd just say all politicians
yeah, exactly. All of them.
and decision
Um,
makers.
I agree. I agree. I agree. You are absolutely right on that, Linda. I wear my mask. I'm not getting tired of it. Amira says. I wear my mask 12 hours a day. And the first thing that comes off when I get in the house after I take off my jacket is that. And I'm almost ripping it off my face because, I've had it on all day, except for when I eat my lunch. And even that, I don't like taking it off to eat my lunch. But how am I going to eat? So I got to take it off to eat my lunch. But and that's only 30 minutes. So the rest of the day, I have that bad boy on. Sometimes I have two on. Depends on, what my intuition says when I'm leaving in the morning. Sometimes I'm told to put two masks on. And that is because I believe we have so many cases and we don't even know what departments they're in, that anybody, that spirit knows who might be infectious and who's going to be around me that day. And so they say, you know what, wear two masks. I follow, I listen, I put it on. I don't know at this point right now who has it. We have no idea. We don't know what department. We don't know. They're not telling us. They just want us to come in like like this is what we signed up for. And I did it. None of us signed up to be on the front line of a pandemic. We signed up for a job. That was it. To pay the bills. Um, Sharon says, I have to wear two masks all day at work. It is horrible, but I want to see my family one day. So how do you all reimagine seeing your family right now? Like last night, my family and I had a virtual dinner, just like we do with the Indigo Room. And we're supposed to be, I think I talked about this before, we're supposed to be having a family reunion. That's not going to happen right now. And so what we do is every 2 weeks, we have a family dinner. And I have met new family members that I didn't even know I had. And I have seen family members that I haven't seen in years. And it's been a lot of fun and, chaotic, and everybody's talking at once. And we're just trying to adjust to our new normal. But this new normal allows us to be able to think differently. And how do we get to spend time with each other if we can't physically be there? And actually, it's not costing us a lot of money to travel. It would be nice to be able for us to all be in one spot where we could all hug each other and, touch each other, and our spittle spreads and nobody gets sick. We laugh and, we can be in the same room and nobody's asymptomatic and nobody's getting sick. But right now, that's not the case. So we are having a really good time, laughing and sharing. And then a lot of them never even met my kids, and both my sons were there this time. And so it's been amazing. I'm meeting and I get to spend literally quality time with each one of them, talking to them and hearing who they are, who their people are, who their mother and father are, and how they're connected to me. We have like 200 people in a group, and this week we had, I don't even know, we had like 75 of us, I think, maybe more, I don't know, joining in on the call. So I think that's something that a lot of families can do, and it was a lot of fun. Um, Jackie says, I can't understand the protesters wanting to, in fact, dive as far as it is though they are playing Russian roulette with their lives. Now, that speaks in volumes to what Linda was saying. Linda said that it might be that this is what their spirit chose, not them in their physical, in their thought process. Like, I really want to die of COVID. But that's a thought that I didn't think of. But maybe that was their way of helping us to get our move forward in this and help us to realize, that um, our old normal, getting back to our old normal, the way we were, is not a good thing.
It
So
needs to shift.
yeah, maybe they are the shift changers. I don't know.
Hmm. Even they're they're showing us a side we might not have considered. Um, Even if it's wrong and they end up dying, it's like, oh, don't want to go there. You know, um, there's there's just a whole lot of ways of looking at this, and that's sort of where I'm going. It's like I I see the different sides, and I'm not trying to pick one or the other. And it's like, okay, yeah, I have compassion for the situation, but I also can draw a line in the sand. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I mean, everything's open. All the state parks are open in my state. People can travel 50 miles. So we have 3 counties that they're still in quarantine, and they're within a 50-mile radius, and they can drive down here if they want to say, oh, to heck with that, I want to go to the beach, and they're in a county that's uh, been allowed to open up, or they go to a different county to get their hair done because they can't stand it anymore, or their nails, or whatever,
Right.
um, which I think is ridiculous. Come on. How obsessed
I
are
need my nails
you?
done, Linda. All right.
How obsessed are you? It's like, what in the heck does having a gray hair show up on your head have to do with staying alive or not dying from COVID? It's like, I'm sorry, it's not even on my list. It's
Not on mine
just,
either.
or I get that. I can understand about bars because a lot of single people, that's their social life, and they're missing that, or that's the part of the day that makes them feel like they're a person and they're not alone and they're not isolated. I get that. But still, use some common sense, for gosh sakes. Don't sit next to your buddy. If it's crowded, don't go in. I just, you know, you can I get that. Yeah, there's somebody you chat with all the time in the bar, but you don't have their email address or their phone number. You just know them as, part of the group that makes you feel better or whatever. So you can't, uh, you haven't been able to connect virtually or on Facebook or whatever. It doesn't mean it's right. Or it makes, you got to still use some common sense.
I agree. You have to listen. God gave us common sense, and He gave us spiritual sense. I believe that's how I
Hmm.
feel. Um, and or she gave us spiritual sense, however you want to look at God. I think that uh, in this particular plane that we're in, this particular time that we're in, you have your common sense and you have your spiritual sense. And you have to use balance with both. You can be so spiritual minded that you're no earthly good,
Hmm.
and you can be so earthly minded that you're not spiritually good either. So there has to be a balance. I'm in a physical body. So are you. So are all of y'all. Last time check. I didn't see anybody changing into a light body yet. Nobody. So um, you're in this physical body. You still have to feed it. You still have to take care of it. Your vehicle. You take care of your cars. A lot of people take better care of their cars than their own physical body, right? We know that. So you still have to take care of your physical. You take care of your physical body. You take care of your physical home, the house that you live in, the apartment that you live in, the cardboard box that you live in. Even if you're living on the street, you have some sense about you that that's your box. This is my box. This is where I live. This is how I'm taking care of it. However you decide, right? So you still have to have some common sense. And if you're living on the street, a street person has some street sense, right? So everybody has some sense. Use them. That's it. So now, how do you reimagine how you spend time in the bars, or how do you spend time with your friends? You can still go to these bars if they open them up and social distance. Like I still garden with my friend. I see her. We're social distance. We're 6 feet apart
Right.
while we're out there gardening. She has her mask on. She's older than me. I have my mask on to make sure that she doesn't get sick. It's a loving thing that I do for her because I could be asymptomatic, right? So I'm going to put the mask on, and we're still going to garden, but we're gardening differently now.
Right.
So we have to reimagine how we are going to do the things that we're going to do. There's this little girl that I saw. She's 11 years old, I believe. She wants to hug her grandma. Okay. And she created a way for that to happen. She made a big old plastic, took a big sheet of plastic, cut out holes where her grandma can stick her arms in, and attach some kind of plastic gloves with extensions, and then put holes in the bottom so that she could stick her hands in, and then have gloves at the other end so that she could hug her grandma. And they put this whole entire thing up in front of the door, right? So there's a barrier on this particular door of the apartment or the building. And she runs up and she can now hug her grandma. Her grandma can hug her. See, that kid, I said, you know what? She's a smart little cookie. Because she could recreate that, or her parents could recreate that over and over and over. It's really
Hmm.
simple, very easy to make, and sell those, right? So this is a
Yep.
new way for people to be able to hug each other. That's all. That's what I'm saying. There's things now that we have to step outside of the box and think, how can this new reality that we find ourselves in, how can I create something that's going to help me to be able to do something. And then in turn, it'll help somebody else. And then in turn, create abundance for yourself. That's possible. I'm watching another company here that used to make clothing, and they repurposed their outfit here in New York to make face shields. And then what they did was they started hiring people who were no longer working, who had been furloughed, the restaurant, people who had been furloughed, and they started hiring them. And they're making money, and they're selling these face shields to people and to businesses. And they have now, I don't think it was 30 or 25 employees at this time, whereas before they didn't have as many. So that's what I'm saying. What can you, in this now new time, recreate or reimagine what some of the things maybe you were thinking about, being a Broadway star? How does that work now? How can you shift and change that? We have all of these tools at our disposal that we can use instead of spending time now lamenting what was lost. What can we do to recreate something even better?
That face mask thing, what first off, what that business will probably continue on, because we found out just how unprepared our government was to have what we needed to have in place for a pandemic.
Right.
So that looks like something that's not going to go away for a long time. That people will demand, even if it's on a state or a county level. I want to know where this stuff is stockpiled, and I
Right.
want to, we want a list, and we want to keep this many things in it. This is giving us, okay, our whatever our preparation plan was on a city, state, county, or federal level. We now have new information, and we know that we need X number of this a day, X number of that, and those things are going to continue on when COVID is behind us, because
Right.
we want those things available, and we
Exactly.
want to be able to respond very quickly. Uh, we're finding that our medical and first line folks are having a lot of mental issues now, because they can no longer put aside that what they're taught in medical school is to step back and don't be involved with the patient. Try and be what I would call clinical, and that's basically crumbled.
Right.
They need new ways of dealing with things. And Dr. Jeanette had a show on Blog Talk Radio, Dr. Jeanette Gallagher, uh, about that. And this doctor was a psychiatrist, and he's now dealing with and having group sessions, virtual group sessions with first responders and healthcare providers, and people that are dealing with the actual people that are in have COVID, to help support them, because they're what they've been trained doesn't work anymore, and so they have to come up with new ways of, how can I give this person a hug, or how can it, you're not, okay, their disease, you're not supposed to touch them, but somebody, if they're going, the urge is to at least hold the person's hand, because their family or their friends aren't there in the hospital with them,
Right.
and uh they need to, the medical profession as a whole has to come up with new ways, and the
Right.
old stuff just has to go by the wayside. because it's not working.
Right.
And it's
So,
creating so many mental health issues with the people who, the medical professions.
so a new way has to be created uh, when our medical staff, when our medical students, our nurses, and all of the medical administrators start to go through school right now.
Yep.
These young people that are coming up and graduating, getting ready to go to college, new ways have to be developed to teach them, number one, how to handle that and how to also give care and empathy to the patient,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that is another thing that has to be recreated, because now you just can't step back, and it's no longer you can just step back and put it in the back of your mind or just let it go or whatever, and then go out tomorrow night and hang out with your friends and drink it away or whatever it is that you were doing, dance it away, laugh it away, whatever.
Exactly.
So now these new tools have to be created. This is a new world we are entering in. It doesn't have to be the bad, big, scary world. I mean, it does feel scary. There are a lot of times that I'm afraid, but then I have to look at also what can I bring that's different? What can I create that's going to now, in this new world that we're living in this new time that we're living in, what can I do to not go back to the old ways of being, not to go back to not having empathy, not to go back to, where collectively we were all just focusing on ourselves. How
Right.
do you do that? So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about now. I'm real clear on, I don't want to go back to the new normal. I mean, to the old normal. I don't want to go back to that. So now that I'm clear on that, how, moving forward, what do I want to bring to the planet at large? What do I want to bring to my brothers and sisters collectively here as a light worker, even? And also, in my physical, my physical being of what I want to be, do, and have. Um, the citizens are demanding better from our government. Too many protests shoved into time slots is part of the problem. Doctors have to work within the system and resent it. There needs to be an overhaul. Well, I mean, I don't know if all doctors resent it. Some may, but this is where we're at. This is where we're at now. So um, a lot of things have to be shifted and changed. And Barb said, I value my time more instead of resenting it even more. Even before this COVID, after working so many hours, in the plans I described are helping me feel hopeful. Yes, getting things done. That's true, Barb. That is true. Um, she said, my neighbors and I holler at each other from our yards. We always have, but not sitting on our decks together now.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, I have some, I know some people, and they've started having, because it's warm enough, that they'll meet in a neighbor's driveway, and they'll be sitting at the top of the driveway, and they'll be sitting down, and they'll have brought their little adult beverages, and they have like a, one of those outdoor little fireplaces, portable ones, and they'll sit out there and visit that way. So there are a lot of ideas, great ideas that people have come up with.
yeah. And guess what? You get to know your neighbors now.
Right, exactly.
Everybody was running before. And you just didn't have time to talk to your neighbors. So now everybody's home and they want to come out and get some fresh air. And what are you going to do? Not talk to your neighbors? I find that people are waving at me that I don't even know who they are anymore. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know you before today here in New York City,
Yeah.
waving and saying hello. So, whereas before everybody's moving, 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 just trying to get to the next place, trying to get to the next bus stop, trying to get to the ferry, trying to get to the train, trying to get to work, trying to get to the store, trying to get to wherever. Now that nobody's doing anything, nobody's rushing. You see people outside and you go, "Hi, how you doing?" Now you're looking at people. You're looking at them in their eye. Even the ones that don't have the mask or the ones that do. They're still they're still saying hello.
Mm-hmm.
In New York City. That's not something that has happened unless I initiate it usually. So just in that, what Linda was sharing, people coming out of what Dr. Gallagher was saying, and sitting outside and having their little barbecues and social distancing of their beverages at night or whatever. Because after a while, you get tired. Now the weather's warm, you get tired of watching. Who's going to be? You want to step outside. You want
Yeah.
to get yeah,
Just watch the sky at night, you know?
exactly. So I think this pause. Um, I don't think COVID is good. But I think the pause has shown us that what we really are capable of doing. And it is possible for us to reimagine a new normal, to do something different. Like some of these doctors I've seen now here at Mount Sinai, anyway, they have the little tags on them with their pictures and their faces on there because they're all geared up and you can only see their eyes. You can't see anything. You can just barely see their eyes. Like they are geared up. You can't see their new clothes. They're all in white. Everybody's in white. They all look the same, but now they have their face um, with their on their picture of their face, smiling most of the time on their outer garments, so that the patients are not in fear, so that they can identify and realize that, yeah, I'm dealing with another human being, and that's Dr. So and so. That's what her or her face looks like. That's my nurse, and that's what my nurse looks like. There are different ways that we are finding now that we didn't use in the medical um, uh, field at all. Why not? Why didn't we do this before? So some of these things, how can you be a part of that? How can you um, recreate something that was broken and now the light is being shined on it after COVID? How can you add to that and bring a new normal to fruition? That's my question. That's the question I'm asking myself. And how are you growing during the pandemic? Are you spiritually growing during the pandemic? Are you stunted? And some of the things that you can be doing, again, that we've always talked about here in the Indigo Room, is to meditate. I'm not going to say if you do it for 1 minute anymore. Do it for 5, because you got time. You're not running around. You're not going to work. You're not out there, schlepping every day, stressed out. Do it for 5. This is an opportunity right now for you to grow in your meditation. Do it for 5 minutes every day and watch yourself expand in your thought process and in your consciousness. Do it for 5 minutes every day. Write it down and watch yourself consciously grow. I say do it for 5. I'm not giving you 1 minute anymore. 5 minutes.
Ooh.
Amira said, I noticed the trees. I noticed the trees and the flowers. Great time. I'll check out Dr. Blogs. Okay, Linda. They're gonna check out Dr. Blogs. And Barb said, yes, I know I'm growing. Meditation is so helpful. It's extremely helpful. And it's mindful. And if you jog or you do yoga or any of those, any kind of exercise, you can meditate while you're exercising. You don't have to sit and be in a meditative state and just be still, although that would be helpful. Some of us do better while we're exercising. So you can be in a mindful state then too. So just get your meditation on. I get a little messages throughout the day at weirdest times. I think we often do that because that's when, and in those times, if you'll notice, you'll see that you're probably quieter too, just in your thought process. Linda, you put that link in already for
Yeah.
where is no for not Dr. Gallagher, for the other lady.
Oh, it's way up for Josephine.
Okay, yep, I got it. Okay,
Yeah.
let me just click on that. And so I can, let me highlight it because if I click on it, it'll take me right on out of here. I think. All right, so that's for Josephine, her Facebook page. Just make sure that you guys go over and visit with her and check her out. And what was that? Yoga, yes. Walking, meditation all the time. Yep, walking meditation is great. It's great. It's a great thing to do. And while you're doing that, you'll be surprised at the ideas that are going to show up for you. You'll be surprised. You will be gobsmacked because you'll be like, how come I didn't think of that before?
Mm-hmm.
How come I didn't think of that before? So in this time right now that we have, before everything goes back to normal, which we will never do, I'm telling you, normal is gone. Our old normal is over. This is our new normal now for a while. So, and we won't go back to normal because we've been changed. Everything has been changed and shifted. So, what do you need so bad at Marshall's, at TJ Maxx? This is nothing against the retail stores. I'm just using them as because that was what popped into my head. But what do you need so badly at a store that you are willing to pile up and pile in and go shopping? Just think about our Christmas time here. I know that happens in the UK too, where everybody, Black Friday. There's not going to be a Black Friday shopping this year. Not like it was. Where everybody's piled in and piled into Walmart, and you see those videos of people fighting over TVs and all of that. That has to change. That has to change. Our consumerism has to change. The way we move through the planet has to change. So in that, what can you create? What can you recreate and reimagine? Instead of us all just saying, oh, look at those crazy people. We were all part of that at some point, out there schlepping and going Christmas shopping during Black Friday. I know I was. All right. So all of us have that energy in us. And so as I'm saying that, we can figure out ways to help each other so that we can have the things that we want to have and be the things that we want to have, and let love be the new currency.
Yep.
How about that? Let love be the new currency. Okay, so I want to make sure that you all know that on Tuesday we are having dinner together at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's for about an hour or so. And if you'd like to join us, you can email us at the Indigo Room 2 at gmail.com, and we will put you on the show. It's not a show, but we'll give you the Zoom link for our dinner. If you would like to join the Indigo Room WhatsApp Stay Connected group, Sharon, I put you in that group. But I don't know if you put WhatsApp on your phone, but I see you there. Check your phone. And I sent you a message too. That is something that allows us to connect with each other when we're not here at the Indigo Room, and allows us to chat and share and vent and scream and laugh and joke or whatever you want to do. Okay? Very supportive group. And we're supportive at dinner time too. So we're all connected and we're all staying together. Now, I'm just going to say, if it wasn't for the way things were moving, we might not be having dinner every week together. Just saying. So you want to join us, just email me and I will give you all of that information. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. The indigoroom.org is our website. If you're looking for coaching, I'm still available to do that. And you get 30 minutes free and, consultation or whatever, so that we can chit chat and get to know each other and find out if I'm a good fit for you. Because I might not be. You might not be a good fit for me. So let's find that out. Linda, you have any announcements you got to make before we roll up out of here?
Nope. Just thank you, everybody, for being here for me. I appreciate it, and I love you all.
And we love you too, Linda. We love you, Linda. Linda the Fabulous. So make sure that you remember who you are. Remember that you are source energy right here in a physical body. You can be, do, and have anything that you desire. Yes, you can. And it's not being extraordinary that makes you unique. It is your uniqueness that makes you extraordinary. And we will see you next Sunday. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet, but we'll be back. And I love you. Jazz hands. Jazz hands. Bye.